This is Note Taking Guide 3.7 for Math 1. So today what we're going to do is we're going to look at some story problems and then identify some key features from those problems that we're working with. So our first example over here says you and your friends go to the state fair. It costs $15 to get into the fair and 50 cents each every time you go on a ride. Use the function the cost of the rides equals 50 cents times the ride plus 15, or the function C of r equals 0.50r plus 15 to answer the following questions. It says, what is the average rate of change? So the question is the average rate of change, if you remember, we said was represented by our slope. So if we're looking at this equation, this C of r equals 0.5 r plus 15, this equation is actually in y equals mx plus b form, where the m is our slope. So it actually tells me what my slope is without having to do any work on this problem. My slope is actually 0.50 if you want to show the 0 there, because the average rate of change is just the slope. It says, is the function increasing or decreasing? Well, my slope is positive, which tells me that it's increasing, because if you remember when we were talking about increasing and decreasing, a positive slope was increasing and a negative slope was decreasing. The third question says, what is the y-intercept? Well, again, back to this original form of our equation right here, that b back behind, that always tells me my y-intercept. It tells me where my graph touches or crosses the y-axis. So it's given to me right here. I know that my y-intercept is 15. Number 4 says, what is the domain and range of that function? So we need to kind of try to visualize what we think that's going to look like. If this is an equation of a line, then we probably need to decide where our line's going to start and where our line's going to end. So let's just talk about this for just a minute. Can I buy a negative number of tickets to the ride? I can't. So I could start out with my rides. I could buy 0 tickets, or I could go up from there. But I can't buy less than 0 tickets. So the number of tickets, or the number of input values that I could have to put in to my function, would have to start at 0 and go to infinity, because I could buy as many tickets as I wanted to. I'm going to change this one over here to a bracket though, because 0 is a definite number that I know the end for. So my domain's going to be 0 to infinity. What's my range going to be? Well, my range is going to be the output of what's going to happen if I put in the number 0 to infinity. So if I put in the number 0 right here in place of the r, 50 cents times 0 is 0, and 0 plus 15 is $15. So just to get into the park, no matter what, it's going to cost me $15. And then as I increase the number of rides that I buy, my domain is going to increase to infinity, meaning depending on how many tickets I buy, the cost of my rides is going to go up and up and up until forever. This last question says, what does C of 4 represent? So C of 4 equals 17 represent. Well, 4 is the number of tickets, and 17 is the cost of the rides. All right, one more question over here. It says the graph below shows the relationship between dollars and the number of deposits. So first of all, it wants us to just fill out this T table with our values. So it's just ordered pairs. The first one is 0, 50, if I'm looking right there. So 0 and 50. The second one is 1, 150. So I'm just using these ordered pairs right here to write down my values. 2 and 250, 3 and 350, and 4 and 450. So those are the values in my table. So number 1 says fill in the table. We did that. I'm just going to check that off. Number 2 says, what is the slope of the line? So I have a couple of ways I could figure that out. I could actually find the slope using that formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, or I could count my slope, finding my rise over my run over here on my line. And I think that's the way that I'm going to choose to do it. I think I'm just going to count my rise over my run. So if I start at 50 and I go up to 150, I didn't draw that very well. Then I went up 100, that's my rise. My run is over 1. So 100 over 1 reduces to 100, so my slope of the line is 100. The next question says, write an equation for the line. So I know that this is my slope, so the only other thing I need is my y-intercept. It touches or crosses my y-intercept at 50. So if I'm putting into the equation y equals mx plus b, my equation is going to be y equals 100x plus 50. Kind of ran out of room over there, 100x plus 50. Okay, then it says, what's the y-intercept? Well, we already decided that. That was at 50. What's the x-intercept? There isn't one because it never touches or crosses the x-axis. And then number 6 says, what does the x-intercept represent in this context? Well, it represents that you're never going to get down to zero balance. So again, what we're doing today is we're taking word problems and just kind of finding the important parts to them. So thanks for watching. Good luck with your homework.